Folks, let's get this straight. There is a persistent and frankly infuriating amount of motion happening around the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell scandal. This is not just a typical news cycle. It is a live demonstration of how the elite, the politically connected, and the financially powerful actively work to shield themselves from accountability. I want to spend the next 2,800 plus words cutting through the noise, analyzing the data, and demanding the transparency the American people deserve. We are here to dismantle the narrative and expose the structural rot. Ghislaine Maxwell and her assertion of the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination before the House Oversight Committee. This is a performance, not a procedure. Maxwell's legal team is essentially telling Congress, we will show up, take the fifth on every question, and waste your time. House Oversight Chairman Comer calls this a poor investment of taxpayer dollars. I agree that wasting money is bad, but the biggest waste of taxpayer funds was sending Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and a full FBI detail to meet Maxwell for 2 days, only to conduct what appears to be a non-adversarial interview. That was the truly egregious misuse of resources. Comer's current position, to stand down because she might plead the fifth, is either an admission of tactical incompetence or, more worryingly, a sign of willful avoidance. Legally, you cannot simply issue a blanket assertion of the Fifth Amendment. It must be invoked on a question-by-question basis. A skilled prosecutor or investigator, like Maureen Comey, for example, could craft questions that, while avoiding self-incrimination, would force her to reveal the network, the clients, the intermediaries, the logistics. The fact that the House Oversight Committee is signaling surrender confirms a deep lack of resolve in Washington to expose this network. This brings us to her scandalous treatment in prison. Maxwell, a convicted sex trafficker, is reportedly receiving VIP treatment, customized meals, private meetings with visitors, access to computers for unmonitored communication, and even time with service dogs. This is not a correctional facility. It is a holding pattern for a valuable asset. The whistleblower who exposed this special treatment was fired. Think about the audacity of that. A federal employee tells the truth about preferential treatment for a high-profile criminal, and they lose their job. This special arrangement is the clearest sign of a quid pro quo. Maxwell must have provided or promised to withhold information of immense value to the powerful. The most critical political theory here, and one that is absolutely relevant, is the persistent rumor of a potential commutation or pardon. Maxwell met with Todd Blanche, a former personal lawyer to Donald Trump, specifically to discuss her criminal sentence. Following that meeting, she was moved to a minimum security facility in Texas. The timing and the outcome are too convenient to ignore. As concerned citizens rightly point out, if the highest office in the land grants clemency to a convicted sex trafficker, it is an act that should demand an inquiry not just in the US, but potentially by the International Criminal Court, ICC, for crimes against minors that spanned multiple jurisdictions. We must demand an explanation for this unprecedented coddling. This is a scandal of justice, and it is a scandal of public money being spent to protect a criminal. If you accept the terms of a conviction, you must comply. Otherwise, send her back to maximum security immediately, moving past the political theater and into the actual machinery of power, money. The House Oversight Committee has issued subpoenas to JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank. Again, a necessary but belated move. These institutions acted as gatekeepers for Epstein's operation. The movement of hundreds of millions of dollars through these accounts should have flagged every regulatory alarm. Their failure to act or their willful negligence is part of the crime. But the real transparency challenge lies in what these subpoenas might reveal about the highest levels of political power. The Deutsche Bank-Trump-SCOTUS nexus. Deutsche Bank was Epstein's bank, but more importantly, it was Donald Trump's primary lender, providing him with over $2 billion in loans at a time when other major institutions steered clear. This connection is not merely a financial anecdote. It suggests a deeply intertwined and potentially compromised network. We must connect the dots that the audience is rightfully demanding. The loans. Why did Deutsche Bank, an institution with known ties to Epstein, continue to fund Trump despite significant risk and red flags? The debt director. We cannot ignore the fact that Thomas Bowers, a high-ranking Deutsche Bank executive involved in approving these loans, was reported to have died by hanging. I am not confirming speculation, but I am demanding data. The Kennedy link. Justin Kennedy, the son of then Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy, was a Deutsche Bank executive involved in managing Trump's account. Was it merely a coincidence that Justice Kennedy then retired early, allowing President Trump to appoint Brett Kavanaugh, his former law clerk to the Supreme Court. This sequence of events has the clear appearance of a political quid pro quo, potentially tied to financial protection. Transparency here is non-negotiable. If financial and political maneuvering can buy control of the Supreme Court, we have fundamentally lost our republic. The Mellon money and potential blackmail. The second financial area requiring immediate scrutiny is the Mellon family connection. Timothy Mellon, a major Republican donor, gave over $130 million to Trump-affiliated groups. A prominent individual like this does not make such a massive donation without a clear motivation. The audience has noted that Timothy Mellon's father reportedly appeared on flight logs to Epstein's island. Furthermore, his mother, the late Bunny Mellon, famously redesigned the White House Rose Garden, a project that was subsequently altered and criticized by the Trump administration. The question is simple and critical. Why would a son bankroll a man who, in the public eye, undermined his mother's crowning achievement? This only makes sense if there is a leveraging mechanism at play. Does the Trump network have access to Epstein files, emails, or photographs that could exert political pressure on figures like Mellon? The Oversight Committee must follow this thread. Following the money is how you map the power structure. The Epstein Files Transparency Act was signed into law on November 19th. The deadline for the Department of Justice, DOJ, to release records is 30 days from that date. This sounds like progress, but we must treat this law and its implementation like a badly engineered product. The current move by the DOJ to expedite the release of the Florida grand jury records from 2005 and 2007 is a strategic distraction. As Judge Berman noted in New York, grand jury records are often a drop in the ocean, a few dozen pages, compared to the hundreds of thousands of documents the government actually possesses. They want you to look at the crumb while they hide the loaf. The crucial battleground lies in the exceptions to the act. While the law, commendable, states that records cannot be withheld for reasons of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, it contains a massive structural loophole. Records can be withheld if their disclosure would jeopardize an ongoing federal investigation or prosecution. This is where the political manipulation occurs. We know that President Trump reportedly ordered the DOJ to specifically investigate Democrats and only Democrats tied to the Epstein files. The political cheat sheet, a politically sensitive file, names an ally of the administration. The DOJ, or a politically aligned prosecutor, opens a narrow, targeted federal investigation concerning a rival politician using a marginal piece of evidence. The DOJ then uses the ongoing investigation exception to shield the politically sensitive records, claiming their release would compromise the probe. This allows the administration to weaponize the law, a supposed tool of transparency, as a mechanism of political censorship. The failure of House Oversight Republicans to enforce their original unlimited subpoena from August, before this law was passed, is evidence of their complicity, or at least their profound lack of commitment to full disclosure. They had the opportunity to bypass this loophole, and they failed to capitalize on it. Furthermore, we must demand an end to the DOJ's narrative control. Subpoena the emails. Stop focusing on Maxwell's compelled testimony, which is prone to lies and Fifth Amendment assertions. Subpoena her emails, communications, and financial logs. Those are objective data points. Investigate all parties. Why is there no public reporting on an investigation into potential connections of figures like Melania Trump, who was reportedly socializing within these same circles? Accountability must be uniform, not selectively applied for political gain. The current situation is unacceptable. We are witnessing an active, organized effort by the financial, legal, and political elite to obstruct the full truth about the Epstein network. They are using taxpayer money to coddle a criminal, leveraging financial instruments to install political power, and manipulating transparency laws to shield themselves. If you are not angry about this, you are not paying attention. The release of files on December 19th will be a critical inflection point. If those files are merely scraps, documents already public, or records of negligible value, we will know that the obstruction has succeeded. We cannot allow this to become a ritualistic exercise in controlled disclosure. I demand absolute and unwavering accountability, terminate Maxwell's VIP status, and force her to face the full consequence of her sentence. Conduct a comprehensive apolitical investigation into Deutsche Bank's lending practices to high-profile political figures and its intersection with the Epstein network. The DOJ must certify that it is not using the ongoing investigation clause to block politically damaging information. The Epstein case is a litmus test for the integrity of our legal and political systems. If the rules only apply to the powerless, then the system itself is fraudulent. And we must expose this power grid. We must map the connections. We must have the data. Share this video. Send it to anyone who needs to see the raw data and the political maneuvering. And subscribe. We need critical mass to demand this level of transparency. We will not stop until the full truth is exposed.